Welcome, everybody, to the Resilient Minds podcast. I'm extremely excited today. We're here with Gary Cardone. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here, man.
Good to see you. Good to meet you. Good to connect with you. So for those of you that don't know, I just want to give a little bit of a brief intro for anybody that may be unaware or uncertain about where you're from. But what I really love is you're really an adaptable entrepreneur. You're focused on deep involvement in the energy sector, real estate, finance, digital, and all these industries are fascinatingly enough currently undergoing radical disruption and like a lot of metamorphosis. So you have proven to overcome a lot of these technological and economic stresses through the course of your focus, your life, and integral in the way that you're serving the greater whole. I've really observed that. And it's been really nice to see that level of certainty come from you. You've spent a lot of time serving in the natural gas sector, power trading, mergers and acquisitions, and regularly investing in high growth startups where you've honed in to create this harmonic emphasis of making sure that people are really in service to one another alongside you. And so fundamentally, for those that don't know, like your mission, great father, mentor, teacher, in service to remain true to yourself by honing in on your own standard of excellence. This integrity that you continue to hold yourself by, to continue to focus on those that operate from a level of outstanding standards so that we can serve our future generations. So it's really amazing to connect. For those of you that don't know Gary, this is what he's about. And I'm excited to have you, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very kind words. I'm humbled by them. I just wake up every day and just, try to play a game, man. It's like, I think everything's, you started by saying everything, there's a lot of things undergoing change. I think the whole planet's undergoing some type of metamorphosis. That's what it feels like to me. So I think the way I survive is being willing and able to adapt to a changing environment, but not to be start mutating myself and adapting my personality or person around success. I think you can be adaptable, and then you can morph into being strong enough to be able to then change the world around you. I think adapting, if all you do is adapt forever, you're going to just become you're going to be the effect of everything, right? So the cool environment is to be able to go into an environment and start to have it adapt around you. That's ultimate ability, So that's the goal, and as long as I don't lose myself in doing that, that's the hard part, right? Not losing yourself in it. And my experience is people lose themselves in failures, and they lose themselves in success, and they're literally the other side of the same coin. Somebody was telling me that I said, I got upset about somebody saying something online. You know how these people do, right? And then I realized when I said it, I said, hey, if I get upset by somebody saying something online, it has the same power and the same impact as if somebody says something nice to me and I get excited. I shouldn't get excited or upset. They're both just whatever, right? So it's kind of interesting. Like the older I get and the more businesses I've been in and the more people I meet, which is really the beauty behind being in a bunch of different industries. I have met some really, really awesome people and a very eclectic group. And probably by doing that, I've actually become, I think, a really good communicator, and a really good communicator in very, very tense situations, which 30 years ago, I would have been the one causing the tense situation. I just recognized this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I'm like, wow, I'm becoming the guy that settles everything down. And I used to be the guy that would throw the hand grenade in the room. Anytime I would see inconsistencies, I'm like, let me throw a fucking grenade in here. And the inconsistencies piss me off. Okay. So, one guy gets a bonus of 23%, another guy gets a bonus of 8%. It's like, dude, I think the guy that did 8% did a pretty good job. Right. So I just like it. Hey, pay me on my merits and I'm good to go. But when people start, changing the rules, especially when it's the guys that all say they have standards that don't have the standards. So those guys, I like throwing hand grenades in the room. But no more am I doing that. I'm actually, if I do throw a hand grenade in, it's literally for somebody to wake up and, are you sure that Bitcoin's going to take over the entire global economy tomorrow morning, dude? Are you really sure? Is that really what you want? Because that's a Mad Max world. And when you say that to a purist, right, they're like, yeah, I don't want to live in a Mad Max world with 10,000 Bitcoin. That's not a good solution, right? Immediately shows you money's not really the solution to anything. But everybody has to figure that out. You have to have a bunch of money to figure it out. Being broke, you're always going to think having money is the solution. It's a better solution than being broke, I will admit. Anyway, that's my little life, man. It's like opening a book every day and realizing you're on this journey, and you can either write on the book, or you can, follow somebody else's story. I think either one is okay, by the way.
I love it. I love it. And I really like that you're open to both of the scenarios and choosing, because I think that that's what makes you so aware of your own discussion within yourself to say, hey, I've recognized the distinction. I choose to observe now. I can either live with fear or focus on faith, and I get to decide. And communicating with that internal self, you are willing to be an observer of the room now versus the one that just like, hey, this is what I got to do. So I'd love to go about, your emphasis about those that are talking, not doing, because I do see a lot of that in kind of the experience of our lives, and something that I've noticed extremely prevalent when I was growing up is there was a lot of these inactions in terms of our integrities. And I know that that is something that for me fundamentally is like, hey, if you're gonna say something, it should be like it's written in stone, because that's what you're gonna make happen. Otherwise, don't say it. And as I was growing up, I noticed a lot of these types of phenomenons happening where people would say and they wouldn't execute. And so I think that that's also happened a lot in our society, in our ecosystems, and things like this, and even in business. And so how has your experience kind of cultivated that level of integrity within yourself, Gary, so that you could actually show that by this level of certainty within yourself, you can go into environments and create that level of certainty so people were focused on listening to what you were saying because of the standard of excellence that you have honed in on within yourself. So, and that experience, I imagine, is what really contributed to your big purpose, your why, and how you're in service right now. So I'd love if you can take us back a little bit to some of these experiences.
Yeah, it's a really broad topic. So if I go way off, just corral me.
Please, yes, of course.
Now listen, you're assuming that I'm of service, and I mean, you're saying some really nice things about me, but I've not said anything about being in service or trying to help lots of other people. I mean, most of my activities have been around business. It's really all I know. It's my sport. And like, some people look at me and go, "Hey, what's your hobby?" I'm like, I'll go fishing with you, dude. But after a couple of days, I ain't going to go golfing. Um, I'll go gamble with you, but I'm not going to gamble 5 days a week. Right. So for me, business, I've been fortunate enough, business has been my game. And if I told you when I was 18 years old that I was going to, for the vast majority of my life, from 25 till today, uh, 85% of the time I was working, making money, I was literally playing a game like Command and Conquer or Halo or Monopoly, or literally I have laughed driving to work when people would pay me, because I'm like, I can't believe somebody's paying me to do this. And that may sound, I think if you ask my brother, he would not ever share that. It was not fun for him. He was all alone. And I found it to be like, one, I think my humility that I could get into the oil and gas business was like, whoa, dude, I'm in a big old market here. This is awesome. I could never have gotten in that business by myself. The markets I've been in are really large. I mean, they're, you know, um, you got to be willing to hang out with some serious players and play by their rules, because all these industries have their own set of rules, have their clubs. And the consistent thing for me was I found something to do that really was in alignment with my personality, which is I've always had a bit of a chip on my shoulder about people that were given an advantage and they couldn't really clock it, you know? And I was like, wow, somebody gave me an advantage, man, I'd kill it. And I think that maybe made me work harder or better than other people. I've never met anybody except when I met Donald Trump, and I will say this with all like severe honesty. There isn't anyone I have ever met that I didn't look at and go, "Oh yeah, I can most certainly outwork him." It's just it's the way I think, actually. Uh, it's not a competitive thing. It's, hey, would I want to work with this guy? And it's either, hey, can I keep up with him or can he keep up with me? I have never in my entire life met anyone that I was scared to work with or for. I met Donald. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I think he crushed me because I'm probably not as disciplined as I was when I was younger, because I don't have to be. That is the truth. I do not have to be as disciplined. This is a problem for most people when they make their first money. They become undisciplined. They change what got them there. I'm not saying this is good. I'm just trying to tell your audience, I am by far not perfect. Okay. I see all these videos and these Twitter things, and it's all like, I'm just so far from perfect. Okay. I have flaws, sins. I'm undisciplined. Now, the cool thing is about me, like, I probably am a little undisciplined because I like being behind the curve. I hate getting ahead of everybody else. I love being like, 18 points down. I don't know why that is, but I'm never early to a game. I think being early to a market is near suicide. And there's very few, everybody wants to be first. I'm like, dude, why are you building that business first? You don't have to create the idea. Usually the guy that creates the idea doesn't keep it. And most certainly he doesn't maximize the value. Google was like 18th to the list. Like, let that sink in, man. 18th to the list. I mean, at least 12th. Right? And there's so many skeletons that are hanging around Google now. It's unbelievable. Oh, the other myth is that they built anything. Google was allowed to buy everything and hire everyone, along with 5 or 6 other companies, making it near impossible for an independent guy, private company, to use the same behavior that Google would do. It would be impossible because you didn't have the capital. So everyone that's tried to follow the Palo Alto model, notice they don't have a business today. You notice that, dude? All these guys that started their SaaS model thing. Very few have fucking clocked it. Very, 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 very few have really clocked it. The founders, they've gotten diluted. I know y'all hear all the great billionaire stories, but go look at the graveyard, dude. It's full of people and families and years of waste. Like you start wasting, how old are you?
I'm 37.
Yeah. You waste 3 years of your life on a deal. It's 10% of your life just gone. Waste 3 years of your life on the wrong woman and vice versa. 10% of your life gone. History. These are the mistakes that founders make right here. I was with a guy the other night. His investment is a brilliant idea, dude. Just a brilliant idea. We're sitting there having a drink, and he's my age. And I said, the only problem is his boys weren't around. I said, the problem is your CEO's 27. The CEO's 28. And all they got to do is meet the wrong fucking redhead. And your equity position is fucked. He looked at me, he's like, oh my God. I said, dude, you got to put some serious people around these people. Yeah. Guys like me that don't let them do that.
Yep.
So you make $1 million. Like, how many guys do you know made mistakes with chicks? Okay.
Myself included.
Okay. If you're a champion, I've been married 3 times. I love the idea of marriage, but not for me. The truth is, I was born to be I don't need one fucking woman hanging around with me all the time, holding me back. I just don't need it that bad. Okay. I like being alone. I create more alone than I have ever created around a woman, for sure. Like 1,000,000%. That is not saying anything negative about women. It is negative about me. I can't seem to do the warrior thing and suck toes every day. Like, I don't want to do that. Okay. And also, I don't want to be married to another champion, dude. I want to be married to a great woman that wants to take care of the kids and me and has enough faith in me that I'm going to bring home racks and racks of food that she needs to figure out how to freeze and manage, but stay the fuck out of my business. It's very much like a military operation now. And this is not like my concept of raising kids has always been, you ought to get some dogs first. And if you can raise some dogs to have good behavior, and maybe you're qualified for kids, right? I am a parent now. I can guarantee you, I train my kids exactly the way I train my dogs. I have awesome kids. People were like, no, that's ridiculous, Gary. You're single. I had my first child when I was 49. You meet my kids, they'd be like, dude, we like that, dude. I took them everywhere. I picked them up in the morning, took them to school, picked them up at 3:30, was never frightened a day in my life around money. Went to whatever meeting I wanted to go to. And when me and the kids were busy, it's like, dude, we're going to have to do this meeting some other time. I'm with my children. Like, I'm with my children next week. I won't take a phone call.
Yep.
They'll be 18 in 2 years, and then I'm done with them, dude. See ya. Bye. Go. So if you can, I think that if you're having children and you're a warrior, you're built to build something or go to war or die for something. If you look, if you're that guy. And if you don't know, then you just don't know what your game is yet. That's the big trick in life is who am I and what does my personality best lend itself to? Mine happens to lend itself to being willing to take a lot of hits from big players and squeeze in there, man. Squeeze in there right under their radar and their videos and their programs and their processes and their HR department and build a $500 million business. I mean, I think it's like, I can't go to war. I would kind of like to. I would have been a good military guy. So I played this game in business that basically simulates either great success or bankruptcy. It's a war game for me, usually, and that really keeps me on my toes. Remember, I told you I can be a little undisciplined. So the more intense the game is, literally do all kind of life hacks with myself because I know what I know, I'm willing to admit some of my deficiencies. So I put tremendous stress on myself. For instance, Grant and I have this little trick. We keep very little money in the bank. I mean, if you saw how much money in the bank I have right now, you'd be like, whoa, dude, you run tight. Yeah, because one, the money's not doing anything in the bank. And two, if I have a big old bunch of zeros back there, I might just go on holiday for a year, you know? And Gary's not really that productive when he's on holiday for a year. Having said that, I did take 8 years off and do nothing once, and that was good for me, but it was too long. 8 years was too long.
What did you
Yeah,
discover in the 8 years? What did you discover in the 8 years off in yourself?
well, the big deal was I was 39. I was in London. I was making a lot of money. I was running. I mean, I'm from Lake Charles, Louisiana, dude. Like, I ended up in London, 600 people, $1 billion asset that I bought over a lunch table. It's my second business in London. The first one we made 120 million pounds sterling in 2 years with 8 people. Then those 8 people were acquired from, I'm 32, 34 years old at the time. Those 10 people in the book was acquired from British Gas for another 120. And they had the audacity to look at my boss and say, hey, if your boy wants to stay, we want everybody but him. He's crazy. We don't need him in our company, but he can play in our sandbox. Me and my boss couldn't believe it. I just cost this company $3 billion, and they're going to let me play in their sandbox. The hubris of these big legacy companies is staggering. Okay, just imagine a bunch of Brits. They got chauffeur, little gloved car, got drivers, and their meals are brought in. They have tea breaks, and they meet me with his accent, walking around in jeans and boots, and in the 90s in central London, talking about transforming the entire European energy market into a day market. They thought I was crazy, man. Today, by the way, the entire European sector, the UK, and all of the continental Europe trades on a 1/2 hour to 1 day market. The most efficient energy markets in the world, dude. And just show it and I was very instrumental in doing that. I'm not doing this. What I'm trying to explain to people is for a guy like me to end up in London working with the energy minister to completely reform and transform the energy markets. That says that one human being can do a lot more than people think. One good leader with a good, consistent message. I saw a pitch from a business today from 3 founders. I was like, dude, I'd sell the fuck out of this stock based on what you just sold me. I own half the company. It's just the way they pitch it. They pitch it wrong. I'm like, dude, we're doing a lot more than what you're saying. I have an addressable market that's probably $100 billion a year, like every year in fees and services. And that's the way this deal needs to be pitched, not what we're doing. Okay. Like there's getting ready to be 24 billion 1099s created in January from digital assets. Who's going to process all this stuff, dude? And that's the first year. So I got off track with what your question was because you got me going back
No, I
20,
love
30
it.
years.
I love it, bro. It's like so much wisdom came through you. So it's not off track. It's actually profound and very important. And I just want to really acknowledge that because you're talking a lot of the things that you have taken a lot of responsibility for in really curating freedom and discovering these lessons within yourself so that now you have honed in and continuously focused on the acquisition, at least that's what I'm hearing, the acquisition of really bringing a lot of these ideas together and harmonizing them instead of, like you said, focusing on needing to create the ideas. Everything is there and available to us. We just got to put it together. And so I really want to acknowledge the fact that you have taken the time, because I do believe that the mistakes are lessons. I mean, for me, they've been, you know, at least
They are
I've
if you
chosen.
look at them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this has given me a lot of gifts of taking that personality or our personal reality and really honing in to that fundamental responsibility of saying, how can I choose to be real as fuck or take my ability to respond? Because at the end of the day, my distinctive this decision on everything that I choose to do is mine. Uh I don't need to worry about the external world. I can create the certainty from the internal understanding. So I'm noticing that by you being in business, you've taken that role of recognizing that the game is yours to discover and create. And there's a lot of magic in that, man, because a lot of people, most in fact, choose to let the external uh, kind of conduct their way or manage their way of living. And so, with regards to being in oil and gas and natural and gas and power trading, how has that been a discovery of what you see now as an opportunity for reforming the energy sector or the market? Do you see as that being an opportunity right now in today's market?
Um, yeah, and we could go down that rabbit hole, but I think your audience would appreciate something different because the whole transformation of what's going to happen on the macro market on energy. I mean, we'd be here for 2 or 3 hours, but something that's really important because you asked me a question. Hey, how did you decide to, what did you do for 8 years? What's important is why did I leave? Right? Why did I go? Hey, I've been here since I was 22 years old. I'm 40 or something. I'm making $7 million a year. Okay, I'm making some real wedge now. I live in a 7 acre property out in Hampshire on the river. I fly fish every day in my backyard with 4 big dogs. I got a river keeper, dude. I got a driver. I'm flying on helicopters. I'm 35, man. Dealing with some of the biggest companies in the world, putting on positions that were colossal. One phone
Mhm.
call, hey, you want to do 400 megawatts for 5 years? I mean, that's a multi-billion-dollar transaction. Call Enron
Beautiful.
because I know they're sharp. Hey, I want to buy some more energy from you to ruin their book. I mean, the games that were played, that industry gave me a tremendous foundation on, I think, everything. It's a monster monopoly game. And once I understood the logistics and learned how to learn about an industry, I realized that after 12 years, I started being bored. I'd been in the UK 10, and I'm like, hey, I'm making $7 million a year. I've got 3 telephones. I just lost another marriage, which is cool. It wasn't about the business. It was about me and her, not about, I shouldn't have gotten married. I mean, just ever. And that's a good example, actually. Here, I'm a strong guy in business, but with women, I would start to do things that were different, which is, I know she's not perfect, but let's just get this done and move on. Like I would never fucking do that in a business deal, ever. But I changed my. By the way, in marriage, which I could have a whole conversation about, I have never had a failed business, and the reason I say that because I always apply the exact same principles to these businesses. Um, why didn't I apply the exact same principle to marriage? I never did any of the mission goals,
Great
accomplishments,
question.
metrics. I just treated it completely different. So I'm taking full blame for that. I'm not saying that in order to be successful, you can't be married. I don't believe that. So I don't want to leave you with that message.
I wasn't
Go ahead.
taking it as that either, because I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, 100%, you're focusing, where your strengths are, and that's important. And I also want to acknowledge the fact that, where do you find, maybe I think this is a great question, is to ask yourself, where do you find that within yourself, or within the feminine nature within yourself, that maybe are things capable of being done different, or could have they been done different in business or not? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know about, I mean, maybe I just go by, do an arrangement with somebody. Um,
Yeah.
just having, probably been cheaper and better quality. Um, but my point was, I'm sitting in the back of a car. I'm 38, 39. I'm like, I'm not really having any fun. Why am I here? Now, when I say fun, I'm like, I was like having headaches. Now, the business basically now runs me. We're doing 6 billion a year, 600 people. I'm like, fuck this, dude. I don't like this. Why am I staying? I called my boss up and said, dude, I'm gonna give you 6 months. I sold all my stock that afternoon. 100% of my stock. I had never sold a drop. Okay. Called him, said, look, you got 6 months. I want to roll. I want to come back home. I'm done. I've got a divorce going on. And following my heart, I watched the stock of this company in 6 months go from $60 to 75 cents. And I got out. I was like, whoa. I would spend the next 8 years studying myself, writing, two religions, and bounced around, read, took some time off, man. I met a man when I was 34 years old who was the CEO of British Gas. He was about 42 years old, and he had just left, just come back into England. He was a Yank, and he would run British Gas. This is the premier job in the country. And he had just taken off 7 years sailing. I'm like, wow, nobody told me that about that career in school. What they told me was become economics major, become a blah, 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 and then go to work for the man forever and ever. Get on. I was like, bro, that one human being, okay. Now I'm the second human being that has literally left business at 42, said the only reason I'm here is because it's scary to walk away from $7 million. It's just terrifying. You just do not do that, right? And then I realized this is a form of handcuffs, man. I'm fucking out of here. Okay. Because I
Wow.
will
Wow.
not become a slave to anything.
Wow.
Okay. I would rather become a slave to marijuana, quite frankly, than a business because I can get off of marijuana. It's or whatever, right? So um, I came here, hung out, didn't do anything, met the wrong woman, built a $500 million business, then had wasted 10 years of my life, but built another business in the payment industry. Within 2 years, I was bored of that, tried to exit that for 5 years, man. Now I'm just exiting it right now. Now, all of these sound like really difficult times. Okay. I've made a lot of money in all these deals. So, but notice what I'm talking about. I'm talking about my enjoyment and my time. And this is all the way back to 40. This is 35 years old. This isn't just yesterday I woke up and went, tick tock, clock's working. Now that's very serious to me. It's make the clock is much more valuable to me today than it was 40 years ago. Um, but what it's taught me, Eric, is that like I can pretty much traverse any industry using good communication, and now I know how to study an industry. Uh, I've been studying this particular industry for 3 years. I can hold my own with anyone now. And like I hang around with some really deep. I mean, some of the people have been around 13 years in Bitcoin. Yeah, they have $30 Bitcoin. I have not met anybody. Now, there's a lot of technical stuff I don't know, but I have never known the technical stuff and have zero interest in knowing it my entire career. I've been to one oil platform in my whole life. Okay. And I've traded more energy than anyone you're ever going to meet, unless you go meet John Arnold, Greg Whaley, or a couple more guys. Like literally, I've traded billions and billions and billions of dollars of energy. Never been to an oil platform, never been to a utility, don't care. Because I'm able to look at a map, I'm able to look at a macro picture and understand how to put all these pieces together because of my education in energy, quite frankly. So the platform for your audience, whether they're 18 or 62, I think people underestimate picking the right platform to go work for. People get out of school and they go, okay, I need a job. That is stupid. Okay, first off, going to school, I don't even know why you're going to school, much less take debt to go to school. Your parents should call me or you or somebody that's got some really good stats and say, hey, I'll pay you. A guy from Dubai called me the other day, said, hey, my dad wants me to go to college. I said, how much is it going to cost you? $450. I said, I'll train you in less than a year for 100. Well, 100 grand, dude. Doesn't even have to leave Dubai, okay? 100 grand, by the time he's 19, he will understand M&A, cash flows, how to do a pitch, how to find out more about your client than he finds out about you or your competitors. None of these skills are taught in school. I don't care how fucking smart you are, how many MBAs you have. You still have to learn. I get an MBA to call me once a week, dude. Hey, can you help me? I'm like, why the fuck are you calling me, man? You're the MBA, dude. Why are you calling me? I had 3 phone calls last week to go run businesses in the Bitcoin industry. I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? I don't know anything about Bitcoin. Not really. So, I think so this is 4 industries now. One guy with a marketing and economics background, barely a C. I probably paid for that C, actually, if I'm honest. I got an account. I would never give a teacher money, but I found out one of my teachers was single, and that I knew I could handle. I introduced my accounting teacher to one of my girlfriends in Beaumont. She was a little older than me, so it was a perfect fit, so to speak. And I think I got my C. So anyway, I find that really interesting, right? And I see people staying in careers for 40 years. No wonder they're miserable because you're bored to death. You know what's going to happen 3 weeks from now, 3 months from now. So having this moving in and out of industries, it's kept me so young, man. And I know a lot about macro. Like it's really fundamentally, like I know more about payments than like I wanted to. Just how money moves around and the size of the visas of the world, and how much information they have, and how poorly any of the fraud solutions have worked. And it's all a scam, KMC, AML, all that GDPR in Europe that they lost billions and billions and billions of dollars to do what? To create friction against the consumer and 10 to $20 billion in income every year to these companies and does nothing for fraud. Literally stops no fraud. I see a total world that literally is going to be completely changed because it is so wonky, so fractured, and a train wreck of plumbing. And by plumbing, I mean, imagine like we're trying to imagine having your arm blown off today, and you go in the hospital, and they're going back to 1800 standards now, hacksaw and some alcohol, right? Like we keep doing this, whereas we have technology that's happening so fast now. Like I could imagine a country or countries having governments run by AI, dude. Especially as insane as everyone will appreciate our political processes. I can remove all the human intervention from government issues tomorrow morning, which is the problem. Let's face it, all governments, one problem, human beings. Changing the rules. By having bias. Let's do AI. Constitution, Bill of Rights, boom. We have one thing. Dude, the amount of people that are terrified over that, I find that bizarre. Why would you be terrified over a Constitution, a Bill of Rights being monitored and measured by a machine than some human being that keeps changing it? And we have 140 years where they're changing it, mutating it, morphing it, twisting it, fucking arguing over it. Even if I wanted to argue over the Bill of Rights, I have to go to the Supreme Court. And I don't know how many professional politicians we have, but I don't think we'd need any if AI was running. So all these brilliant politicians like Kamala Harris and Biden and Hillary Clinton, they can all go run some businesses. That'd be awesome. And I'm pretty sure they'll all fail because they have no experience of running anything properly. Like this is, if you're going to elect people that can do it without any metrics, no wonder we're fucked up. Like we'll allow, see, this is where I'm good because I'm not blaming them. I would take advantage of you also if you let me, except I'm just too aware. So my conscience is going to bother me. I can't do that job. Therefore, I will never apply for that job. Right. But what I do need to do is wake up and be honest about what's going on. There aren't any metrics here that works for anyone. Not finance for sure. In fact, I would say the fossil fuel business, contrary to what most everyone's going to say, fossil fuel industry is probably one of the most productive industries on the planet. Okay. They make the least multiple. You guys complain about them constantly, but not one part of your life would exist without Exxon. Oil and natural gas, baby. Like propane doesn't do it. Okay. Solar is bullshit. I mean, it's awesome 3-4 hours a day. Okay. But like, assuming it's not cloudy, and wind's cool and waves are good. But for what we need, my car is not going to do 100 miles an hour on wind. And if it does, it's going to be really uncomfortable in there with no rubber, no plastics, no glass. I guess I'll just be like whizzing around fully exposed. So Tesla's still going to need energy to make these machines. We would do better if the energy price changed relative to demand and we wouldn't have to need all these fancy innovations. Mm-hmm. You literally go $400 crude oil, $15 gasoline. How many times are you going to get in your Ferrari to go down the street for a pack of cigarettes? Right? Did you turn off any of your laptops last night, Eric?
No, I didn't.
No. You didn't turn any?
No.
You know why? Because you're not charged enough. It's priced incorrectly. I can prove this to 1 million people. All you carbon people, all you greenies, energy is too cheap. If it was priced correctly, you'd turn the shit off every time you walked out of a room, but you don't. This is the beauty of the digitization of planet Earth. This is where I see the vision of going. I don't really care what you have or what you're going to lose, Visa, MasterCard. We are digitizing planet Earth, and there's no chance that any of the tools that we used yesterday, when all of the reporting and everything we used to do is still going to be required. But the way we get there and the tools we use to get there are not any, they all have to be built. The entire system, the entire global system. Not only while you're doing that, but you also have to fix, effectively invest in all new infrastructure across the world. London, America's infrastructure it's awesome. We're a big country. Cool. We built it all at the same time. We got to redo the whole thing now. All 50 states, fuck. Dams, bridges, streets, utilities.
Do you think we can use some of the distressed infrastructure from the pipelines and natural gas and things like this?
I think Band-Aid, yeah, you're going to be able to do a bunch of stuff, and we're going to Band-Aid a lot of stuff together. But, quite frankly, if anybody understands London or driving around London or Rome, you're never going to fix London streets unless you're willing to just turn it into glass and start over. So you're always going to be, this is a very good example or analogy of why I can be so certain about what's going to happen to the big boys. Let's look at London. And I know that the most effective, quickest way to fix the road system in England is to blow the whole fucking place up, flatten it out like a piece of glass and start over. Then you would build a perfect transport system for that geo. Now, you're not going to do that, Ray. So what we're going to do, we're going to band-aid it here, band-aid it there. But 50 years from now, prediction, London roadways will still be fucked up. And we'll still be confronted, man, should have turned it into glass. That means they won't be competitive. Okay, that's what that means, because they're not staying competitive. It would be like a massive shark never getting bigger or never changing his feeding patterns. He ain't going to get bigger. He's going to die. So, and then other countries like Dubai, oh, that's a good example. Fucking spending money like drunken sailors building the 21st century city. There's no rule that London maintains its golden city status forever and ever and ever. There's no city on the planet that's ever maintained their status quo. Nothing does. I'm not going to, man. I'm going to die. And the only thing you guys are going to have of me is a comment, a memory, or a joke, or some memory, right? So if I know that I'm going to expire if I don't change, why can't whole industries go through a collapse? Which, by the way, we have history that shows they have gone through total collapse, and we're still all around. Oh, wow. So we just have a lot of inertia built up from the past. If you believe in, to me, it's a very simple way to look at it. We are digitizing planet Earth. Okay, what does that mean? There's going to be a time when the critical assimilation or accumulation of automobiles riding on software is, we meet critical mass where Gary Cardone can't drive his car anymore. You guys do understand that there will come a time when it's all digital. You can't do, well, we're going to measure water with analog, and then we're going to do electricity with metering. Or we're going to release 98% of the cars are going to be automated, but Gary's going to be able to do whatever the fuck he wants on the roads. And I will, by the way, if you let me. Right? So I become the variable that needs to be controlled, which is good, because if you understand the way traffic flows, we have so much energy on this planet, but we waste everything. Okay, the traffic flows of a car stopping at a stoplight and then 40 cars being packed on and then starting to move, that is so inefficient. You shouldn't need any stoplights. What you want is these automobiles and vehicles to constantly be flowing like molecules of energy, right? And only AI and digits do that, where cars are stopping and starting. There's no, hey, at 2 a.m. in the morning, why the hell am I having to wait at a 3-minute stoplight? There's anybody here, man. Right? So I believe in the Jetsons world, man. Me and my twin brother grew up with the Jetsons. You're driving down the thing, you go too fast, you get a ticket. I actually think that's where we're headed. And I think it's naive to think that we're not headed there. And to be scared of it is stupidity. It's total ignorance. You're just acting like a humanoid now. Well, you're not even acting like a humanoid. You're acting like a human. If you don't understand it, pick up a gun and shoot it. It's cool, dude. This is going to happen. I actually think we're going to be more creative from it. Okay? Because most people I know, they go to work not to go to work. They go to work to get away from their wife or their kids, or they're bored, man. I don't want to be with somebody 24/7. I need a purpose. The problem is most people that go to work do not have a purpose for being there that's aligned with the work. They're there because they don't want to be anywhere else, or they're there because they don't want to be somewhere else, right? And like, I just don't do that. Like, I do these spaces. I've learned so much in the last 6 months to a year on these spaces. There are people that join my spaces, will ask for a mic and speak. And then I'm like, hey, look, I'm really having a hard time hearing you. Oh, well, I'm at work right now. And I'm like, well, get the fuck off the phone, dude. Like, I am so offended by that. And if the person that's going to hear this, it's a lady. The person that's going to hear this will be mad at me, but like, you are stealing from your employer, period. Listen to the recording. It's not cool. That's not cool. Okay. So that person should just stop working and stealing from her employer and build a spaces and figure out how to make $4,000 a month if that's what she really wants to do. That's not cool, guys. Okay, watching Facebook and Twitter and me or you while you're working, unless like it's your business to do that. You know, you and I might watch people like this because it's our business, but it's stealing. Okay, it's literally stealing. And you're never going to become great at either one of those roles, man. Okay. Oh, by the way, we can barely hear you. So it's nobody's winning from this bullshit. Okay. You know why? Because it's half minded. It's this don't take too much risk. Diversify yourself, Eric. You know, going all in on one thing can really get you broke. Really, it can get you broke. It can. But the only way you're going to get super rich is full on consolidation, concentration, all in bets. It's this bullshit about diversity. It ought to be sold like this. You diversify when you become scared and fearful of the decision you're getting ready to make. Period. Or you no longer want to play the game and you just want to have part of an index fund and you want to get on your BA flight, get in first class and brag about sitting in first class, which has got as many germs as third class. You still got to wait in all the TSA lines. What you should have done is said, shit, I'm a fucking fly private every day and I'm not touching any germs and I've got a game and I'm happy. To me, that's what people out of school, if we just in the school system, just got everybody at a point of, hey, this is the field I want to do. Hell, I'd be okay actually if the schools graduated people when they're 18 and they had a list of shit they don't want to do. That would
What
be
do you
awesome.
think shift? What do you think
Make a
needs to
list of shit you don't want to do.
Yeah,
That's
so
the
what do
first
you
thing
think?
you do right out of school, dude.
Right on. Yeah, so really
Oh,
taking that
sorry.
shift. No, don't apologize. What do you think needs to shift when we are willing to really build, like you said, this digital focus and this infrastructure for the future? How can we take this creative opportunity for our children and our future generations to really stay in that space of creativity? Because that's what I believe we actually all come here with, that creative outlet of focus, of passion, of purpose, and then we're conditioned to actually get into this waste or stranded energy because of school and a lot of these things that take us to what society oftentimes makes us, where maybe like Sally and Joe that are listening right now at work and wasting their employer's time because they're like wanting to discover that passion. Maybe they want to be part of the future of the digitization. Maybe they help us create the infrastructure. So like, what do you think can shift for some of these people that, for most people, brother, that have gone down this rabbit hole of doing what most of society is doing versus the ones that, are willing to kind of break free and be creative? What's the shift that can happen? What are your perspectives?
Well, I think the shifts can be massive. The problem is getting over the inertia of all your training.
Yeah.
Look, first off, the parents, if your parents have not been successful, and by successful, I mean being able to, what is success? Like it would be cool if high school would actually, hey, what the F is that, right? Do you have a definition that you like for success?
For me, it's faith, family, and really being able to discover that wealth within yourself, because then you can create the certainty in any environment. So success is that happiness, that joy, that family, that community, and then as a result, you can actually change every environment because it's about that certainty within yourself. So that, to me, that's success, because then you have a really great relationship with yourself, and then you can see that wisdom in each person that you meet.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Now, and how do you define happy? You use that word happy.
So joyful, so
Are you
willing,
happy?
so will
Are you happy?
absolutely.
Are you,
Was I in the past or am I now?
are you now?
Absolutely. Every
Okay.
day, the moment that I am awake and breathing, to me, that's a moment of grace and joy. So as a result of actually being above ground, and knowing that I get to experience this game, this experience of life, this devotion to really moving with absolute conviction and certainty, it then gives me absolute space of grace, because then you get to see, from my perspective, the solutions in everything. You know, all of the opportunities are everywhere. However, it is in that happiness, from my perspective, that you get to see. It doesn't mean that I don't get angry. It's that I actually just recognize the anger, and then I choose to funnel that into some sort of a solution because of the ability to see the happiness and the joy.
Yeah. See, I can't say that I'm a Mr. Happy guy. I've just never been that. Um, but I can have fun. And for me, having a game that I can play with other people.
Mm.
When I was 5 or 6 or 7 years old, must have been 6, I stepped up to a baseball plate. It was the second, no, the ninth inning. We were under. There was 2 kids on base, and dude, I was last bat, and I wasn't a great sports guy. But when I stepped up to that plate, I remember still to this day touching that plate with that bat, man. I mean, literally, okay. Like if you look in my eyes, this is such a real deal for me. I remember touching that plate, looking around, seeing the little, probably only 40 people in the audience, but it felt like 400. Smell of popcorn, the snow cone, man. Mick Grant was over there. There's red sand. And see, this is why people like me, because I tell a little story. Everybody like, they're in it. And I'm like, hey, I get to decide whether I'm going to strike out here, if I'm going to save the moment. And I was like, oh, the adrenaline that hit me when I was like, dude, I can save this team. At that moment in time, I realized I like being the hero. I want to be a hero. I want to be Superman, Batman. I'll do Robin if that's the best job I can get. Shit, if I got to be Batgirl, I might turn into a girl to be Batgirl. I fucking love the pressure moment, man. See,
Yeah.
that was really important for me to recognize. Now, you could say, hey, you're a little fucked up if you want, if the only way you can perform is under that kind of pressure. Okay, you can call me fucked up. I do exceptionally well under massive amounts of pressure, man. I mean, massive. The more you give me, I think Elon's exactly the same way. People are bitching about how much Elon works. I said, shit, he ought to go buy something else. He gets more done every time he adds another problem to his pot. If you look at it instead of criticizing the guy, he's getting literally more done every time you give him a bigger problem. And that's a little bit like me. But what I decided, a little bit like leaving the job, my first job right out of college was being a pharmaceutical salesman. I scored the highest grade they'd ever seen in their life. I did the job for 3 days. I drove back to them, gave them their keys, and said, fuck you, I'm not doing this for the rest of my life, dude. Selling drugs to nurses at a doctor's office that didn't even, it's a dead end job, right? So I made a list of everything I didn't want to do. I don't want to be an accountant, don't want to be a lawyer, don't want to be an Excel. I will never work for Goldman Sachs or any other fucking animal. What do I want to do? I want to go to a rugby match every day with champions and wake up and go, okay, look, even if we're second, third, or fourth, who cares, dude? We're playing a champion game. And that turned me into a monster, man. I took a job at 27. I would have taken the job for zero. They didn't know that, but I was not leaving that office without a job. I got a job and I got paid. They were probably embarrassed to even offer me zero, right? And I was laughed at for 15 years after that. People going, well, you're stupid. They're still working, dude, in the same bloody industry, same job, and it's cool. But when you see them calling me now, 20 years later, going, dude, what are you doing Bitcoin? And then I walk them through it. They're like, oh my God, dude, what?
Rugby with champions.
How are you always like? I'm like, dude, I keep my ears open. Yeah. Okay. And Like if you're observant, my greatest skill is observing what the heck's going on and putting the pieces together. And there is a lot going on. So I've been very, very fortunate. I will say that. I don't know what it is that my mom or dad did to me and my brother to make it so weird. But it is something that, like, even that I'm getting ready to do better than I've ever done. Like now it's getting easy actually. I'm actually thinking about writing a book, and it's a book about how easy this is. It's not about Gary's life and all the difficulties. It's literally about manifesting. Literally. I mean,
Do you think
literally.
do you think that it was because of the support that your parents gave you and Grant? I don't know what the relationship with there has, but I imagine, like, for me, and I'll speak for myself, is the level of relationship that I have with my mom and dad and the support that they've been able to cultivate, for me was really something that gave me a lot of like ability to go out there and find my brothers and sisters that are willing to play at this rugby match with champions. And so do you feel like that may have been a contributing factor for you and Grant to really like say, hey man, I can go at anything with whatever it takes because I know my mom and dad got my back as well. And is that it's something that like, like, because it's amazing to have that. Like it feels so certain, right? And then now you guys have each other's back as well because of that standard. And then
Are
as a
you sure?
result, well,
What if you're,
I
yeah,
imagine, sorry,
yeah, it's
apologies.
it's it's interesting how people make these things up,
My
right?
apologies.
So no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. It's Grant and I, or it's a very weird story. I mean, we really should probably cooperatively write a book because I don't even know if we could do it because we're such strong characters. Uh, I mean, he'd probably be okay if 70% of the book was about him. But no, I'm just kidding. The My dad died when I was 7.
I'm sorry to
Um,
my
and
condolences.
he was probably ill while Grant and I were 5. I remember fishing with him once, watching him have a heart attack once in a car, and then I remember remember him hitting me and Grant because we stole some snow cone juice from the priest. He was right to hit us. He beat us with a fucking belt, and that was very normal, by the way. And I deserved every damn beating I got. Um, that's about all the memories I have of him. So he wasn't really around, except that people loved my father, and he had a very good reputation. And the rule in the family was do not fuck this name up, whatever you do. That was the core. The message was they can take, whoever they was. See, this is when you immediately know you're not part of the club. They can take anything from you except your name. So I'm 6 years old. Go, oh, who's they? Okay. But I could keep my name. That's been very, very important to me
Yeah.
throughout. I have a rule. I don't really care if you like me or not. If you respect me, that is all I can ask. If you don't like me or think I'm wrong, love for you to trade against me because I need a trading counterparty. I'm so happy for you to look at me and go, I want to sell you $57,000 Bitcoin. Bring it, big boy. I can be friends with you, even if you're against my position. Not a problem at all. Um, my mom was around. She set good example. She wasn't whoring around. I mean, the one time she went out on a date, me and my brother probably got close to assassinating the guy. Poor guy didn't have a chance. And but at the age of 20 years old, I left it. Like I would tell everybody, as soon as you can leave home, leave home. I don't care if you got a twin brother. I had identical twin brother. We didn't not do anything. I needed to get the fuck away from him. I'm not Grant. I am myself, man. So imagine being 18 and you don't have a twin brother. You're like, oh, I'm going to hang out with mom. No, dude, you need to get away from mom. Mom doesn't know anything. Mom knows nothing about living in the big world. unless you're a military brat and you've got a general dad who's flown you all over the world, very few people have enough experiences. So I got out, dude. My life changed because I had to up my game or I was going to go to prison. It was one of the other. And a guy like me, you need to engage deeply, right? The rules, process, and everybody in front of me is better spoken, better spreadsheets, better everything. That's when I do really well. Um, and I went and asked some people for some advice. Hey, this is who I am. What the heck would you do? So today, the cool thing is you don't have to go in that structured environment. In fact, there is no structured environment anymore when you're leaving school. And that must be frightening people, but with AI and there's just so much going on that if you keep your eyes open and you're thirsty for a fun challenge. See, I was just on the phone 3 hours ago with a friend of mine from Europe. He's like, hey man, you want to go? He's pitching me this really cool deal. And he said, or we could wait a year and a half and let them fuck it all up and then just scrape them off the street. And I'm like, let's do that, dude. I like that trade. Okay. Let's just this is the kind of people you're going against. Okay. Me and another guy, he's probably got 1,000 Bitcoin at $30. We're sitting here having a conversation this morning. By the way, these people came to me through Bitcoin. I've met so many unbelievable people in the last 3 years. I am in the smack dab in the center of the Bitcoin world. No one will disagree with that anymore. 2 years ago, I literally told an ex-partner of mine, hey, what are you going to do? I will know everyone before I'm done. Everyone will know me, and I will see deals in this space. I am going to have so much fun till I die. Like, it's so exciting. Everyone should look at business like freaking going to Disneyland without having to pay Disney for that woke shit. Okay. Like that's the kind of job you want, whether it's art, like it needs to come from your heart, man. And that's why I left when I was 32. 40. Cause I'm like, this isn't, I don't want to be a whore. Okay. I don't want to be a high price tour and I don't want to be a low price tour. Okay. And when you give up your life for a company or you say, hey, I'm showing up to work for 7 million, dude, that's being a whore.
You're still being handcuffed.
Oh, absolutely. You're selling your time for something you don't dig doing. I've spent a bunch of time in the last 3 or 4 years painting. I've probably painted, I don't know, 4 or 5,000 hours, man.
Discovering parts of yourself is probably one of the and I imagine like over the course of the 8 years plus now really playing rugby with champions in terms of business plus allowing yourself to discover yourself because Bitcoin has opened up this paradigm. Let me know what your thoughts are by the opportunity of bringing us together as a community so that we can play more of us as champions in the Bitcoin space by not only the infrastructure but also the changing instead of hodling or holding on for dear life to these to really create an economic exchange or a medium of exchange so that we can really start to play more in this space with one another versus the in the past where people were really holding on for all of this. And I think that creates, like you said, the hoarding mentality where it's scarce versus the abundant mentality where we can actually create even more together. This is a champion kind of mindset, I would say.
Yeah. Well, sadly, I think for the people who were the first, say, 10 years of Bitcoin,
Yeah.
sadly for them, their world is going to change quite a bit more than they might have anticipated. I don't think they fully appreciated how large a role their toy was going to play on the world stage. And now that that's happening, maybe there's a group that would love it to be for a small group of people. I disagree with that. I think it's the same hypocrisy that we've seen before from legacy. This thing about finite, hey, don't ever sell your Bitcoin. Well, how you expect it to get anybody's hands if you don't sell it? And then if you don't sell it, why are you bitching about the paper market? And then now you're bitching about the paper market. You still won't sell it. In fact, you're saying that you're going to go to your grave with it. And it's like, okay, well, wow, that's awesome. Can't wait for large companies like Fidelity to come in and realize 70% of the supply are idiots. Okay. And they got $30 Bitcoin. Very few of them have made any money whatsoever. Seriously, this has been the biggest. Instead of all the great books that are written, you ought to write a book on how much money has been lost in Bitcoin. It is staggering, okay? The amount of wealth that wasn't retained. That's the real story of Bitcoin. The immaturity of this little high school. I know I will offend a lot of people here, but I think you need to listen to an older guy. I have wasted more fucking millions of dollars than anybody you can imagine, dude. Like, and lost lots of hundreds of millions. This market, treating it like everybody can't get in. There's just so many inconsistencies. Bitcoin's for everyone. Well, Fidelity shouldn't be able to buy it. Well, that means the super rich can't buy it, dude. Like, oh, we don't want the super rich in. Oh, okay. Well, guess what? The sovereigns are going to now mine the Bitcoin. They're going to control the mining hash rate. Yeah, well, 48% of all the coal in the world is managed by 10 companies. This is the way, dude, this is critical mass is critical mass. Of course, you're going to go to big players. So, and all this like everybody's evil. I don't think everybody's evil. Bitcoin needs to get into the corporate structure and it will compete. It will compete with other things. And as you learn more about Bitcoin, at least as you see it perform, it becomes very, very compelling as to how it's doing relative to everything else. It literally removes the veil. Literally is probably a heavy statement, but it removes the veil of all the Ponzi shit that goes around with fiat. And you start looking at it going, hey, why is an apple 82 cents, man? When did that happen? Or, wow, that McDonald's a large French fry at McDonald's has about 50 or 60 French fry sticks in it. $4.25, man. If I advertise 1 penny per fry, how many people would buy them? Right? $4.25 for 50. Dude, that's 10 cents a French fry, right? That is massive inflation. Most people do not understand what inflation is because nobody taught it to them in school, dude. No one's teaching anyone about these definitions, including many Bitcoiners, by the way. Okay. Like we can help so many people. I was on a space last night and I heard they are going to kill us. They're going to do this. I'm like, sir, who are they? No answer. No answer. Well, everything he said before then with no answer, he basically got removed from the stage, right? Because the audience is going, you're a fucking whack job, dude. Now, I can say there's a lot of issues going on, but I got to quit saying they, whoever they is, because it just creates pandemonium and fear. I'm not worried about these people. We are, I have the benefit of having been in these industries undergoing tremendous stress, either regulatory stress or technology stress, right? Regulators change the rules, creates a whole new set of domino effects, or technology changes pricing in such a way that, Amazon almost clocked Walmart. Guess what I think is getting ready to happen, dude? I think Walmart and Amazon are going to get clocked because of decentralization. Now, I find it very interesting that I come into Bitcoin because I'm bored to death with payments and energy. I come into Bitcoin, start looking around, then buy a company in invest in a company that's in the space, which I think will be one of the, like, it's going to be probably the standard by which crypto is measured and accounted and tracked. But then I find myself moving into this media thing. People are going, what are you doing in media? Well, it's connected to Bitcoin. Okay. And the reason it's connected is it is decentralized. Now, the concept of Bitcoin is decentralized. We have Swan and all these people that have spent 10 years educating the whole world and making some impacts. We got Fidelity. Half the people don't like Fidelity being here, BlackRock. We got, we got an ETF. We're getting ready to explode. We're a $1 trillion marketplace. And without any discussions whatsoever, without blockchain, without an immutable record, you and I have met through decentralized media using a centralized platform. It is a bastardized hybrid of decentralized to centralized. Like I've always believed these two worlds were going to live together. There is such value behind centralization. Try to do this without Twitter. Okay, we might be able to one day, and maybe it'll be really efficient with, I've got 4 computers here. Maybe we're all decentralized nodes. But in order to get to a fully decentralized node, we have to do this. Bridge into the old world. Okay. So now what's happening? I have 1 million people watching me, dude. I've spent $0. I do not advertise. I've done this all organically. I've never asked my twin brother, hey, send me all your followers. Never, not one time. And the reason is, one, I would never do that because I just don't like owing people anything. But 2, I wanted to see, hey, organically, what is the world needing? And then all of a sudden people start popping up on, because I watched it for 6 months. See, this is where my mind is very curious. I literally sat on Twitter for 6 months. I have never done any of this before 1 year ago. Never used a camera. Don't like it. Like, I actually don't like this. I'm doing it because something in me doesn't like it so much. I'm like, okay, I really need to do this and get over it. But the audience, and it's the demographic, it actually makes me sad, dude. 16 to 78 or 82 years old. I'm like, whoa, that's going to be very hard for you to do. That is going to be very hard for you to do. And then I started looking at this and I'm like, okay, there was Johnny Carson. There was, Jay Leno, Anderson Cooper, Walter Cronkite. This is Walter Cronkite from CBS. The president of the United States has been shot. And I realized, hey, what do all those people have in common? One thing, man. No content whatsoever. No content. They're just simply people that look good on a camera and know how to ask questions. I'm coming to these streams going, dude, I have a lot of content. Like I ran a space the other night for 7 hours, man. Not one record, not a note. Now I'm not talking the whole time, but that I can have a conversation with 1,000 people in a room for 7 hours. There were 7,000 hours of that to me. And we're talking about, I cannot frown on that, dude. I literally stopped. I reduced the amount of work on node 40 and I put my attention into this thing because I'm like, hey, there's something going on here that's really, really magical. And out of it, I could probably form a school, which that is my big deal. It's really, you want to see passion. Okay. I want to fuck the entire school system up in the United States. I got tired of hearing myself criticize how bad schooling was. And I'm like, maybe I need to do something about it. So I see this happening. And all of a sudden I'm in touch with senators and congressmen. Then I realized, oh my God, Bitcoin is going to also pull me into the political world. So I was really kind of comfortable 3 years ago, dude, not doing anything. 15,000 square foot house with 2 dogs. I walk around, hang out, smoke a cigarette, watch the news. And now I'm working like 16 hours a day on media. Nobody knows what I'm doing. On payment, still doing some stuff on payment. I'm looking at mining business in crypto. I can't buy enough Bitcoin, and I'm doing a bunch of political stuff and education stuff that's literally all wrapped in one package. And that all came from me just being curious. So if you decide what you don't want to do, it becomes really easy for me. Then all I'm ever looking at is this. You know, they put those things on the horses for a reason. Notice they rarely do it when they're just clippity clop, but when they go really fast. So being really focused, and that is really hard for most people to do, especially young guys in the crypto world. Glittery objects everywhere. Other people saying, "Oh, look at me, I made 30 million. Okay, hey, I got token land," right? Well, look at their P&L and their balance sheet. I think a lot of these guys didn't make as much as they say they did. So
Well,
it's a very interesting opportunity in time, man. I think.
I think that's the thing is that we're really focused on the Bitcoin world, and the crypto world gets to do their thing. You know what I mean? And that's why we're so focused, bro. I'm really excited to go deeper into this and really talk about some of the nuances off camera. But like, uh, bro, I want to really be conscious of your time and energy and space as well. And before we go, or anything else that we want to add, I'd love to get clear if anyone wants to kind of find out more about what you're doing at Node 40, what you're up to, how they can really connect. What's the best way to reach out to you to find out more information about all the magic that you're creating, bro?
Yeah, at Node 40, well, I'm easy to contact at Gary Cardone, either YouTube or Twitter. Twitter's just easy. Just DM me. I think my DMs are open. The Node 40 business, if you have any, I never do this, okay? I never pitch deals that I'm into. One, I'm raising money for this company right now. I think it total raise will be 12 to 15 million dollars. I'll build a $500 million business on that. I don't need more money than that. I've never needed more money than that. I don't know what these people need 200 million for. But if you were a holder of any crypto asset, and let's say your portfolio is $250,000, you should most certainly contact this company. Okay, this is if you believe you're going to hold Bitcoin and you believe it's going to appreciate in value, one, I think you'll probably be wrong about the appreciation. You'll probably appreciate more than you think it's going to. Most certainly, you will be wrong on your number, and everyone else will be wrong on their number and the timing. But more importantly, if you're a long-term holder, if you don't know how to report, account for, and store, I don't care how you store your crypto. I don't care about self-custody. I irritate a lot of people. If you don't self-custody your reporting, it doesn't matter if you keep your Bitcoin because the government's going to take it away from you. I am not seeing anyone with sizable positions until very recently wake up and realize there are 36,000 tax enforcement authorities being hired right now, $50 billion Congress and I think $36 billion expansion for the U.S. Treasury Department. No one's paid taxes on crypto except when it comes to lost tax harvesting. There's a 350-page Treasury document that was sent out July the 9th, and they're fucking serious. January the 1st, 2025, it is in the IRS code. You have to report a certain way. If you don't, you're going to get the letter. And if you get the letter, consider it a $40,000 response. That will be the opening $40,000 because as soon as you guys get a letter, I'm in Puerto Rico. Bro, if you're in Puerto Rico, you're exposed even more because they're going to send you 3 letters. You do not have an option not to respond to the letter. Okay, I know you guys think you're all big cocks and everything, but when the FTC, the SEC, the IRS, Treasury Department, DOJ, or anybody sends you a letter, dude, it comes like certified mail, and you are going to answer questions, and you're probably not going to want to be there by yourself, right? So these are the tools that protect wealth. And most people who've gotten rich, they plan for it. and nobody's planning properly. Like I am assuming that I am going to die, right? Question is, I can't tell you when. And if I end up with 1,000 Bitcoin, which is my goal, my children or something's going to get 1,000 Bitcoin that have been bought over, by that time, 20 years, moved around all over the place, dude. See, this is the part nobody thinks about. Coinbase, Coinbase Pro, Coinbase Pro, Ledger Wallet, cold storage back to Fidelity. Fidelity, 3 years later, into cold storage again. Oh, I'm going to do some staking because the Treasury is loaning me US dollars against Bitcoin. The first question they're going to ask my kids when they're 35 years old is, tell us where your father found $20 million initially to invest in Bitcoin. Where did that money come from? And are you sure it was taxed? Now, minimally, they're going to pay a $2,000 an hour lawyer and probably a $1,000 an hour auditor to answer this question. Why wouldn't I, for 10 grand a year, I mean, use something like Node 40 and I add it to my seed phrase in my vault and go, here, kids, if something happens to me, tell them to fuck off. Okay? Like, really fuck off. This is what he did. This is what it is. And this is what we owe. Period, man. Down to every digit that tracks into your entire portfolio. That's the kind of protection I want. Okay. And I've seen it work. I mean, I've literally done this and saved $20 million in a violent, if I can remove all the oxygen from an enforcement player, if I can remove the oxygen from the room in him, you know, when you get stopped by a cop, you know, hey, roll your window down this much and go, sir, what do you want? You know, not ever more than that. You don't answer any questions. You just basically say, I don't answer questions. That's what I want to be able to do. Here's my note. Here's my stuff. Shit, dude. What are you going to do about it now? So he with the most accurate information wins the game in the future.
Absolutely.
Now, let me just tell you how complicated this shit is. Okay. It will take a top 4 accounting firm 500 hours to do a $250,000 portfolio. That's $100,000 in fees, dude. Okay. So nobody's going to be spending $100,000 of fees a year for accounting and reporting, right? I do this for four to 10 grand a year. I mean, the scale, the efficiencies is staggering. There are people that are trading 1 billion transactions a year in crypto. I mean, nobody's ever seen this kind of volume. You buy 1,000 shares of IBM, dude, it's one farm. You buy 1,000 Bitcoin, it's going to be probably 8,000 different transactions. So this is the, and by the way, everybody that handles all this stuff still needs to understand what you did. And if we've made it so complicated that no one can understand it, I mean, try to explain somebody a staking deal on an airdrop, okay? Or a token that got sent to you. And by the way, you were making $300 an hour. Well, that airdrop got dropped to you at what value? Was it $1? Is it $0? What is it? My ex-wife said, hey, look, I want half the Bitcoin. And I said, really, you do? Dude, I thought you just told everybody I was going to go broke. I'm a crazy guy. You don't want any of this shit, dude. You're going to die with this Bitcoin. I'm going to go broke and you're going to laugh at me. I said, okay, but let's assume that you want the Bitcoin. Which ones would you like? Would you like the $8,000 coins or the $69,000? Of course, they immediately go, I want the $8,000 coins. Yours. Immediately, don't call me back on the tax issues, okay? See, people haven't thought through that. So which coins does she get? Does she get the cheap ones or the expensive ones? Oh, let's all put it in a pool. No, we're not pooling it, dude. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, okay? And if you do pool it, who's going to pay the taxes on it? Hey, let's liquidate it. Oh, I'll do that. Awesome, sir. Let's liquidate everything. Houses, stocks, gold, silver, and that $500 million business that will probably get a $50 million bid for. Let's sell it on Tuesday, all of it. This put me in a look how transparent I'm being, dude. I'm doing this on a recording. I'm telling you about a litigation that went on for 4 years, right? I am so bulletproof on this shit. It's unbelievable. And I've literally had 3-letter agencies just depose me last week and ask me about some of these videos. Okay. Like I've got a class action suit by some bullshit attorney in California who's got one name. They filed this thing against an old firm that I had. This was 8 years ago. Statute is 7. Statute limitation 7. This is not a formal. This is a private, company or person suing another private entity that I was involved in. Anyway, the first question. This is about the credit card business. I sit down. What's your name? Gary Thomas Cardone. Sir, are you a serious player in the Bitcoin community? I'm like, huh? And are you really deeply involved in the Bitcoin community? I'm sitting there going, what the fuck is this question about, dude? It has nothing to do with that old business. And she then plays a video. She said, are you an opinion leader in the Bitcoin community? I'm like, well, man, what does deeply mean? I mean, this is the first meeting. I'm like, what? I didn't know deeply had a legal term. I literally just looked at it and went, hey, that has nothing to do with this case. And I refused to answer any of the questions related to it. It's like, has nothing to do. You're trying to make me appear like I'm a bad guy because it's Bitcoin. Anyway, that will cost me that day probably $50,000, man. Right. So people, if you've never really built businesses and never had any of these issues, when you get big, people start targeting you. If you're in Bitcoin, dude, you have a target. I promise you. Okay. I know stuff y'all don't know. I promise you it's coming. And if you've done something illegal 5 years ago, I'd get my shit together. Like I would get some really good lawyers because they know who you are. They know everything now. Once the Binance and Coinbase thing happened, dude, it's game over. So this is going to be a great, and by the way, I think that's awesome. Get the criminals out of the way because this will be a great business when real business people come in here. It will be predictable and more stable. The reason it is the way it is because you got a bunch of amateurs came in here and actually fucked it up for a lot of people. Now, for me, I think they fucked it up for themselves and I'm benefiting from it. Because if you can build a $1.1 trillion market and have the worst marketing, the worst education, and the worst promotional program in the history of mankind, which is about 4 or 5 different messages all at one time, right? Like you gotta be self-custody, otherwise you're an evil man, you're just looking for price to go up, and this coin's a shit coin, and that coin's I think all of that's benefited me because this should already be a $3 trillion business, $3 trillion industry. If I would have been in the marketing department, this motherfucker would be $3 trillion right now.
And I think this is where you come back to that component of saying, hey, we didn't have to build it. We're just going to make it, we're going to expand and amplify it with the level of intelligence where we're at.
I don't have to build anything. I think we're building Node 40, but our time is right.
Right.
I mean, when you're building these, the cool thing about Bitcoin, your timing might be wrong, but you just got to wait 3 years. Mm-hmm. When you're building a business, your timing could be off by 7 years. You can build a great business. You can do everything right, and then the PE multiples get crushed, and you can't sell it. Mm. So when you're building, and I mean, to me, Bitcoin is this really remarkable private equity opportunity. So many people say, "I want to run my own business." Go buy some Bitcoin, man. Yeah. No, I want to run my own business, dude. A Popeye's fried chicken franchise costs $3 million. Yeah. Okay. And you got to pay every year your membership fee, and you got to clean the windows, make sure the grease is gone, make sure the black, white trash kids that work there, no offense to the blacks or the white, but it's just they're like, They're being sucked into that maze, no education. Then you wonder why, people are stealing from you. You got clients that give you bad credit cards. Why you want all that headache? And you have no idea when you're going to get out, right? And you're going to get lawsuits from consumers because you're doing the consumer thing. I can just do Bitcoin. No human error risk whatsoever. In fact, the more humans fuck up, the more the price goes up. It's really hilarious, right? And I never get any employees to call me and go, I can't show up at work, or the windows need cleaning, or I need to do insurance, or wow, somebody broke the window. Most people are not situated to build their own business. Okay, guys, there's only so many generals on this planet, and that's just the facts, right? There's an 80-20 rule. I think that's a total lie by double. It's more like 90-10, and it's always been 90-10. 90% of the people are going to have most of the bullshit, and there's going to be 5 to 10% of the people that create. And it's because they're choosing to create, man. Like you guys can create. There's like, you just got stuck. Most people get stuck leaving school, going, taking a job. Your first job is so important. Most people go into jobs and they literally, if you just sat there and asked them, hey, do you want to do this for the rest of your life? They would say, absolutely not. And then they go there for $10 an hour, dude.
And they still do it because there's so much fear instead of believing in themselves oftentimes.
Well, and look, but they live in a whole ecosphere of miseducation. Their
Right.
parents are part to blame. Their parents need to kick their ass out of the house, man. You're killing these children, okay? Let them go, dude. Like I started to fly when they let me out. They should have let me out 4 years prior. Look, I have a 15-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old. 17-year-old is very bright. She wants to be a veterinarian. I really wish she didn't want to, but that's what she wants. So she's going to go to vet school. My other one, much brighter than the first one, but doesn't act like it. She's like me. Oh, I'm just dumb and lazy. Like I'm wild. I'm going to go listen to the music today. I'm not going to be disciplined. The other one, highly disciplined. I will pay the other one. I will pay the 17-year-old, 16-year-old, 15-year-old when she leaves high school, the exact same money that I pay for the veterinarian school, and she can do whatever she wants. Go travel. That's my deal. Hey, go travel for 2 or 3 years, dude.
I think that's the best school, bro. Like you go around the world and
She
you
gets to
learn
decide whether she blows it or not, man.
But like I think that's the best thing that you get to learn is from different cultures, people. Like that to me is the best schooling, anyways, because then you learn how to communicate, which just as I do, is the most important thing. And fundamentally, it allows you to connect to a greater sense of community, and you realize, hey, you actually can count on people. You can look after each other, and you can support each other, and you can take care of one another, and work together to find common solutions. And bro, that to me is everything, man. Is that's how we create a society that's based off of abundance versus scarcity and looking after each other and making sure that we're moving as a collaborative effort. I always say, there's this beautiful saying, ego and pride will compete, but spirit and purpose will collaborate. And I find that to me is what allows us to actually create abundance as a whole. And so, bro, I want to ask you one last thing before we go offline because I'd love to just get a couple minutes with you offline. Is if you had 3 days left to live, what would you do?
Hang up with your ass.
You're
What
a
would I
beauty.
do?
I love it.
I'd hang up on you so fast and make your fucking head swim. Bro, 3 days, huh? Well, first thing I would do is I got a few things that are unwound that I need to. One thing I do not want to leave my children with a problem. And I was with Anthony Scaramucci once. He said, "Hey, I got 715 Bitcoin, and my price is 17,002.95. And Gary, do you think we're going to be okay?" Because he knows I'm very heavy. And I looked at him, he's younger than me. And I said, well, Anthony, dude, this is the way I got it figured. Because I never asked my wife what to do. I would never ask my wife or a girl anything about business. Fucking rule number one. You women don't like me? No problem, dude. You'll never get married to me. Like if you were working with me, I might ask, but I'm not asking my wife or my mommy or my father-in-law, okay, who doesn't know shit about what I do, advice. I'm going to go ask another animal like me about advice. I'm not going to my mommy. So stop asking people that don't know anything. Stop listening to anyone on Facebook, LinkedIn, TrinkDin, LinkedIn, whatever, Rumble, Scrumble, or Dumble. Don't listen to them unless they have something you really want, dude. And it's got to be more than this shit. Okay, there's a lot of snake oil salesmen that talk better than I do. Ask them for their balance sheet, man. Make them show it to you, dude, if they're telling you, okay? I'm not listening to somebody with 2 Bitcoin. Fuck that, okay? Now, if it's 2 Bitcoin and they've gained it over 10 years and they're 20 and they know everything about coding and the only reason, well, actually, I would never listen to anybody with 2 Bitcoin in 10 years, okay? They should already be super rich. If you've been in the space 10 years, you should have fucking clocked it.
True.
So, and you said something really important about working with teams, and we didn't really focus on that, but do not confuse me with my brother. I have only ever worked in teams. My brother is a solo guy. I love building companies. Okay. Now he's got many companies now and he's built it, but you don't have to do that alone. He's a very unique character. I think he would tell you, oh, wow, like he only started making real money, dude, when he was 52. Real money. I mean, he used to look at me and go, bro, like your life is just, I took off 8 years, dude, just chilling out, looking at shit. And he was having to grind it because actually he did not go for a big enough market. He'll tell you today, he would never repeat what he did. Okay. What he did was just like you, the guys that are listening here, very similar to us, growing up in a little town. What do? Go get a little job at the local town guy after you spent 4 years studying a CPA you hate, accounting thing you hate. You then go work at the Chevrolet dealership because guess what? There's a recession you didn't plan on in your 4-year journey. You have debt. You have a girlfriend that's, gives you service 3 days a week. So you don't want to leave her. You probably got a little bit of a drinking problem or a drug problem, or you're just undisciplined because you're a party animal from college. And you stay in this little job like, hey, I'm going to be a pharmaceutical salesman. I am not going to be a pharmaceutical salesman for the rest of my life. That's ridiculous. 4 years of education. Like for me, it was like violent. Like I was, fuck it. So I think if people should look at joining a platform, man. Okay, Michael Jordan did not become a superstar by himself. He had to join a team.
Amen.
Right? And then he made the mistake of trying to be a baseball star. Oops. Dude, stay in your lane, man. That's the message to me. Okay, stay in your lane. I've had so many people, including partners of mine, look at me and go, dude, you walk over more nickels and dimes than anybody I've ever seen. I'm like, well, that's not my job, dude. Like, my job is not to run the street when there's millions and go grab a dime, dude. It's stupid. Why don't you follow me and you pick it up? And hopefully the bus doesn't hit you. But, and a guy from Morgan Stanley once told me that. I'm like, bro, come pick up, dude. It's cool. I don't mind if you pick up all my shit. There's a lot of money there. But, and that's my agenda. Disrupt as much as possible. Don't be efficient. Let some other people come around and go, oh, there's a lot of, it's almost like a big old whale moving through and there's krill everywhere. Let the other guys get some shit, dude.
Yeah, there's
Be
nothing wrong with
nice
that.
to your competitors, guys. You might buy them one day. You might combine them one day because the true competition is not your competitor. It's the whole market. It's your ability to penetrate an entire 8 billion market. And y'all are all, I want to keep it all. Yeah. Why, dude? Ain't no way you're going to digest ExxonMobil can't digest it all. Visa can't digest it all. A bunch of individual, and it's happening on these media platforms. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to have my own Gary Cardone channel, and it'll all be about Gary Cardone. And by the way, if it's not Gary Cardone, then it's not Gary Cardone. Therefore, it's not real. That's an old model, dude. I think that's why I do all these collaborations, because your audience will like you. My audience will like you. It doesn't cost me anything for people to like you. I want my people to go to other people. I should have 8 teachers, 6 to 8 teachers on different subjects. One guy, dude, I ain't smart enough to provide enough intelligence for one human being. No one should just listen to one human being. We go crazy. We make mistakes. We lie. We are blinded by our own idiocy. So having 5, 6, 7 coaches, it's finding them. It's finding the people that really want to give you some real cool data. But the most important message is, hey, you guys don't have to do everything by yourself. Think about working with teams. There are only so many CEOs and generals on this planet that were designed to be that. That's why there's so much failure, right? Like, I'm never going to create code. I'm not ashamed of that. Why is someone else ashamed of going, I'm never really going to be a CEO, man. I don't have what it takes. Like, just that little, there's something else, right? The ability to even sit in a room and not say anything. Most CEOs think you got to talk a lot. I'm like, dude, I listen. I want to listen a lot. So it's an awesome opportunity. The last thing you just can't possibly do, this is a golden rule, is remember that, like, I have never had anybody accuse me of anything other than a wife of doing anything wrong. Maybe being a little too aggressive, but being in business 45 years and never having anyone sue you or say, hey man, we know you slept with that secretary while you were married and she had a baby, and none of that shit. There's nothing on me. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, not far from it, but there isn't anything in my closet that you hadn't done and that I'm not willing to bring it. Okay, cool. Bring it, man. I masturbate every now and then. Okay. Ooh, I have bowel movements at least twice a day if I'm in health. Like, it's all the same shit. Let's face it. So to me, if you do not lose your respect, you can be an animal, man. But if people go, yeah, but he's always right, or, ooh, he's coming into this market and he's saying that, you might want to listen to him. That for me is hugely valuable, because then, and don't talk about shit you don't know. Like I come on these spaces and I'm like, why is that guy talking to me? He doesn't know anything. It's okay not to know anything. That's like, right. You guys don't trash me because I go, I really don't know how that blockchain thing works. I mean, can you walk me through it again? What? I'm an idiot? Like, I don't understand how my Range Rover works either. I drive at 108 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have to understand everything. It's overrated. Understanding understanding human nature. Oh, that's not underrated. Okay. That can never be done well enough. But knowing things about, look, the truth is, we're getting ready to find out most of our math, engineering, physics, and understanding of space is completely wrong. How about that one? We're going to find out 3 years ago. Nothing we believe is right. They're not going to be able to prove the Big Bang. They cannot define gravity. I'm not even sure 1 and 1 is really 2. Like, can you prove it?
They're saying it's 3.
Well, I don't know. This is what I do know. There's just a shitload of stuff we don't know anything about. Yeah. And when we've covered more space than we have ocean, hey, why haven't anybody gone to the moon again? Like, there's some questions here that are just basic freaking questions, okay? And I'm tired of acting like, Somebody did shoot JF Kennedy, and the same guys tried to do it to Trump the other day. Okay. I had to wake up. This is how blind I am. I woke up the other day after they shot him, which, by the way, I've been saying they were going to shoot him for 9 months. There's no way this election is going to happen. I think in 80 days, we will have a major, major global event. I'm not trying to like, hey, you heard it here first. Like, this is human nature, dude. They have to do this. Where was I going with my thought? I just popped off there. Trump and hell, I lost my the shooting. It took 3 days for major mainstream medias to start even acknowledging there was a shooter, and yet Twitter was sitting there releasing information in real time, right? So our world is really changing very rapidly. I kind of lost my train of thought on where I was going on the whole Trump thing, but I just noticed what he's done. He got elected because he knew how to stick his face into Twitter.
Yeah.
Right. And social media and get on TV. I mean, I heard Elon say the other night when he was asked years ago about, hey, does Trump use Twitter well? He said he uses it better than almost everyone. So anyway, it's a great time to be alive, Eric. And I appreciate you, introducing yourself and introducing your peeps to me.
Likewise, brother. And I'm excited because I do feel there's a lot of congruency in the way that we get to move forward, bro. And I really look forward to continuing this conversation. Thanks for everything.